Welcome back to D&D, and right off the bat, relax for a second. Let me remind you where we are. We just crossed the bridge of the limits, thus learning and applying the best practices relating to your email provider's limits. And we also just came out of the foothills of the deliverability mountain. And we just concluded our technical setup, ultimately. So now it's time to think about sending your campaign and start crafting your message. But before we get too far, let's sit down for a second just to take a breather and take in the view. I've got to warn you though, it's as dangerous here as everywhere else. The views may tempt you to rest on your laurels a bit, but remember, we're still not at the peak yet. So if you do seek perfect deliverability, each step you take also has to be performed perfectly. And that includes taking a break. As Kobe Bryant once said, rest at the end, not in the middle. Now, here's the thing about the deliverability mountain. As soon as you come out of the foothills by learning about limits, you can start to see the spam valley. It emerges at you suddenly, taking up most of your view. Well, what I'm trying to say is, you cannot ignore it. But it's also a very unique obstacle in that you don't actually have to cross it. The path up the mountain is on the other side. However, just like the spam folder, although you want to avoid it, you still have to keep it in mind. If it slips out even for a second, you may fall down and end up in spam. Now, this obstacle is the first one on our journey so far, which relates to your email content, so the actual words that make up your email copy. And yeah, I'm just talking about words here. If you want to use a lot of HTML, GIFs, images, stuff like that, well, you may want to rethink it. At this point, it's not really a good idea. But that's what this process is for, so you're in the right place. One of the reasons why newsletters so often end up in the spam folder is just that. They include a lot of HTML and images, which is the worst possible combination, at least if you're trying to reach your prospect's main inbox, as you do. Maybe in a future follow-up, if your sender reputation is great, you could include an image, but for now, it's better just not to think about it. And speaking of text, I'd like to show you some spam triggering words and sentences. There are many lists online acting as aggregators of such phrases, but of course, it doesn't mean that including just one of them will automatically send you to spam. Each email provider has their own unique algorithm that determines just how likely it is that your message may be a threat or a nuisance to the recipient. So the more spam triggering elements you include, the more points you get. And if you go over a certain limit, which is known only internally, then your message gets sent to the spam folder. You want to avoid that at all costs. So I really recommend checking out those lists on your own, just to see if you're not using too many words from them. But still, I'd like to show you some of the most peculiar ones. We all know that phrases related to money or scams can easily trigger spam filters, but did you know that that also includes saying that something is free or for free? That makes sense, right? Although it seems like everyone's trying to get us to download something for free in emails. Also, a more abstract word, marketing, can also trigger those filters. Bad news for all the marketers out there. Even the word boss can have a negative effect. Even more reasons not to write about yours through company email. Also, talking about joining anything or any sort of exclusiveness or memberships is not a great idea. One of the funnier words on the list is hello. I don't know why, I guess you just have to get straight to the point. I can respect that, you know. Don't waste your recipient's time. Nobody wants to be on the opposite end of a boring message. Also, words like home, lose, or risk, very popular but also can negatively affect your deliverability. And yeah, basically anything salesy, avoid that sort of tone. And you may be saying to yourself, well, I'm not a spammer, so I don't use those words, right? But just remember that saying, do it from the comfort of your own home, there's no risk or you have nothing to lose, you can basically say about anything. So just avoid describing your products and services this way. And as I've said before already, it's not like if you use any of those words once or twice, your whole message will be considered spam automatically, but just please keep them in mind. So for now, I thank you so much for being here, and I hope that now you can truly respect the spam folder without thinking about it all the time. If that describes you and you keep that attitude throughout the whole journey, then very, very soon all of your messages will be done and delivered. So see you in the next episode.